Hi everybody, this is Carla, and this time I want to do a really quick review of Pixar's movie Inside Out, which I just saw today. I know I'm very late. I really wanted to go see it when it came out in theaters in June, I think it was. I'm not entirely sure. Unfortunately, I don't live in the USA, and over here, all the screenings for it were dubbed in Spanish, and I really hate watching movies dubbed in Spanish, so I never got around to it. And now that it's out on DVD, I decided, hey, it's about time. And everybody's been speaking so well about that movie that I thought I'd take a chance, and I did that today during lunchtime. So here's the thing, I really enjoyed that movie. I mean, it was a lot deeper than I expected it to be. I knew a few things about it because, I didn't get to watch it until DVD came out, so I already kind of had seen some reviews and had heard some comments from friends and Twitter people and whatever, so I knew a few plot points that maybe those didn't hit me as hard. For example, Bing Bong, I already knew he was there. I knew he was probably going to go bye-bye by the end. So that kind of like him sacrificing himself didn't necessarily hit me that hard. But see, that's the thing. I'm not usually very emotional when it comes to movies, so it hit me hard. I can't really say, oh, I was spoiled and that's why I didn't like it. I did like it. I just liked it more with my head than with my heart, in a sense. Not the movie, just the bingo part. The movie I loved. The movie was fantastic. I mean, it's astounding that Pixar can have a movie that's for kids, and yet at the same time it feels so adult. Like I this was a very deep subject matter, okay? Very deep. It's almost like they were trying to touch on even like depression. I know it wasn't never exactly stated that Riley was depressed or anything. Maybe she was just sad or whatever. But I can understand why maybe people who have been through depression and know what that's like might identify with the movie, and I think it's very helpful too. I like the idea that even though the whole thing is for a person to be happy, and that's kind of the desire everybody has, is for people to be happy. That doesn't mean that by just like pushing away the sadness things get better. So sometimes the sadness helps. That was kind of the core of the entire thing. So sadness was just kind of around there for no reason. But in the end, we figure out that no, sometimes being sad is good, and it's okay to be sad. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes something good can come out of being sad. I genuinely thought it was an allegory for depression, especially like the way things started with like sadness suddenly transforming all the memories into blue memories, and she would say like something's wrong, like I don't know how I'm doing this or whatever. I thought that was an allegory for depression because it's something kind of external that just takes over your brain chemicals and patterns and just makes you feel sad. And it's not necessarily your fault. It's not like you're doing it on purpose or anything. It just happens. So I thought that was a very good allegory. And I'm really, really, really impressed that a movie that's, touted as a movie for kids can actually go that deep. The plot was fantastic. The characters are beautiful. Like, all the emotions are so great. Joy is fantastic, and Amy Poehler as Joy's voice. Oh my god, she was perfect, as was Mindy Lahiri as as discussed. She was so great. They were all great, really, but those two stood out to me the most. And Phyllis, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but Phyllis something, who was the voice of Sadness. All three of the ladies were great. And just, it was so cool just to see how the emotions kind of controlled what the people were doing, not just Riley, but also like all the others around, seeing inside the mother's brain and the father's brain. And one of my favorite parts of the movie was actually the sequence during the end credits where we could see like all the emotions inside other people's brains. I thought it was really interesting. The whole kind of inside of Riley's brain was mapped out. The concept of the islands was fantastic. The idea of like the long-term memories that had to be changed, that had to be, stored, and some that kind of got thrown out and just never heard from again. Because let's face it, I can't remember my first memory. I know it should be in there somewhere, but it's just, I'm never going to remember it, so that it makes total sense that you have kind of a cleanup duty that kind of just throws out all the old memories that you're never going to use. The imagination area, the dream world was fantastic. I love the subconscious part where they decide to wake up the clown in order to like scare Riley into waking up. I mean, the whole concept of it was so great. Bing Bong, I loved his voice. I can't remember if I've read who does his voice, because of course I wasn't supposed to know that Bing Bong was in the movie, so I guess they didn't necessarily like announce the fact to the world that there was some dude playing some character named Bing Bong. But I know that I've heard his voice before. I recognize it from somewhere, and I really love it. I loved his voice. I loved the fact that they decided to use the rocket in order to get out of the chasm. That was fantastic. Just everything. This movie was so good, and if there's something that gets to me, like really close to my heart, is the idea that you might be feeling at your saddest, you might be at your lowest point, but always turn to your family, because they're your support. And even if they don't agree with you, or even if they would like you to feel something else at the moment, they're still your family, and they're still gonna love you, and they're still going to try their best to understand you. And that to me was so great. So I definitely recommend to anybody who's ever felt sad, who's ever felt lonely, who's ever felt conflicted inside, to watch this movie. It doesn't matter what your age is. You can be a kid, you can be an adult, you can be a teenager. That was kind of the one thing that I didn't necessarily like, because I was expecting Bing Bong to make a point about puberty, right? Because we know that Riley is 11, and at that point she doesn't really play with Bing Bong anymore, because imaginary friends aren't supposed to be around by the time you're 11 anymore. I was kind of hoping for Bing Bong to say something along the lines of I had to go away eventually, I had to disappear eventually, so I'm doing it now, especially when he sacrificed himself, I kind of missed that, but apart from that, the entire movie was amazing. I mean, the graphics are lovely. I remember when they were traveling to San Francisco at the beginning of the movie, I would just stare kind of at the landscape they painted, and it's like, okay, the cars are obviously cartoonish, but the whole, bridge and the sky and the mountains, it didn't look like a cartoon. It didn't look animated. It looked real. So it was just all beautiful, so colorful, so bright. Really, really uplifting, and really great movie. And again, recommend it for everybody, not just kids, but teens, adults, everybody can learn something from this movie. It's definitely one of Pixar's. I mean, I don't know that I would rewatch it as often as I do a Finding Nemo, for example, or as I do an Incredibles, for example, but it's definitely one of the better crafted Pixar movies, and that's saying a lot because basically every single Pixar movie is a masterpiece. But I think this one, just from the theme, how deep it went, while still being entertaining and heartfelt, it says a lot about Pixar, and it was a really great movie. I'm really glad I watched it, and I just wish I could have watched it earlier so I could have been a bit more surprised by some things, but still, great movie. Recommend it to everybody, and just, I really liked it. That's it for my review this time around. Remember to visit our website at thegeekypub.com. If you want to see more reviews from other movies, we also have reviews for TV shows, for books, for games, a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to check it out. And if you want to be noticed straight away when we upload a new review, then please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because the reviews are uploaded to YouTube even before they hit the website, so this is the fastest way you have to be notified when we upload something new. And that's about it for me today. I will see you guys next time.